We'll have a cut-in at 9:33. Yes. Yes. We're up on Facebook. Hey everyone on Facebook, this is Emily with KCRA. I am up with Live Copter 3 this evening. We are flying over downtown Sacramento. You're taking a look at Cesar Chavez Plaza. That is where a group of demonstrators is gathering for the third night in the row. Tough for us to see them. We know that they have been standing under the trees. The glowing building to your left, that's City Hall. In the breezeway just there, that you can see a number of police officers staging in front of the City Hall building. That's something that they've been doing the last couple of nights, protecting some of the city buildings as these demonstrators make their way through downtown. What we've experienced the last two nights is this group gathers at Cesar Chavez Plaza around 8:30, 9 o'clock. They wait until it gets dark, and then they start making their way through downtown. Over the last couple of nights, we've seen them with baseball bats, hitting mostly city and county buildings, breaking windows, shattering the glass, tagging some of the city and county buildings. We know over the last couple of nights they've paid special attention to the Sacramento County Jail, the DA's office, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office as well. You can see police officers out in the street. It looks like they're blocking some traffic right now. KCRA 3's Stephanie Lynn is one of our reporters on the ground tonight. She's out there keeping an eye on things from ground level for us, and she says the group is about 50 to 60 people as far as she can tell. But it's tough to get a good gauge on how many people are out there. A lot of the members of this group are wearing all black. They tend to come in riot gear. I saw some wearing helmets, carrying baseball bats. Some of them have shields. A lot of them carry umbrellas. It's a tactic that they use to keep our cameras from being able to show you what's happening. So right now you're still taking a look over Cesar Chavez Plaza. You can see the downtown grid right now. Not a lot of movement out there. Over the last couple nights, Thursday night I was out there, and I would say there were upwards of 100 to 150 people marching through the streets. At this point, it doesn't appear that this group is that large right now. So we are heading over to I-5. This is the J Street off-ramp. You can see you can see a number of police officers blocking the off-ramp. It looks like they don't want too much traffic heading into the downtown area right now. So you can see those flashing lights. Again, that's I-5 at the J Street off-ramp. We're flying over to the Sacramento County Jail. We know that over the last couple of nights, law enforcement has blocked off a portion of I Street in front of the jail. They barricaded the street off. You can see them right there, staging in front of I Street. We know that the jail is one of the areas that demonstrators took interest in a couple of days ago. And this is I Street closer towards Cesar Chavez Plaza. You can see it looks like someone standing out in front of these law enforcement officers. Looks like they may be holding a cell phone, another person on a bicycle. Again, that's I Street. That area is right in front of the Sacramento County Jail. You can see it's barricaded off, yellow police tape, and a number of officers standing, information staging right outside of the jail. So just now counted about 15 officers, and that was just the small section that I could see. So again, that's right outside of the Sacramento County Jail. Now we are heading in to take a look at the Sacramento County DA's office. You can see it looks like law enforcement standing outside on the grass on the front lawn outside the DA's office. This was another place of interest for demonstrators over the last 2 nights. When I was out there on Thursday night, this was one of the locations where demonstrators walked to fairly early on in the evening, smashing in some of the windows there, spray painting some of the signs out there. Someone attempted to set a fire in the lobby on Thursday night as well. And if you can see, kind of take a look right under the 901G, the number on the building, looks like the windows are boarded up there. Law enforcement standing out in front in riot gear. You're taking a wide look at downtown Sacramento. To your right of the screen, that gold glowing building, that's City Hall for a reference point. Cesar Chavez Plaza right across the street from it. Again, we can see law enforcement staging in the breezeway of City Hall. But just for a reference point, that gold building, that's City Hall. Cesar Chavez Plaza right in front of us here. Those strings of lights, that's a restaurant inside of the plaza. And over the last couple of nights, I've not seen any damage done to that restaurant, and not a lot of damage done to the local businesses in town. When we were out there Thursday night or Thursday afternoon, a lot of the businesses in that downtown grid had started boarding up their windows as a precautionary measure. Earlier this year, we saw a number of violent protests over the police-involved death of George Floyd. And those protesters broke a lot of windows for a lot of the downtown, midtown businesses. So a lot of business owners out there boarding up earlier this week, but looks like they've remained pretty untouched. We're taking a look at some police officers driving down 9th Street. And that's 9th and J, the corner of Cesar Chavez Plaza. You can see motorcycle police officers blocking the middle of the road, a number of marked police cars driving through the intersection. Ten-4, thank you. minute 30 out from the cut-in. Our crews on the ground are telling us that demonstrators are moving westbound on I Street from Cesar Chavez. Yes, please. Can you bump the audio up on that for me? 30 out.
That's the IFD. That's the station. I'm only getting a bus, so there's no
Okay.
She's on top of the road, right?
I am. Well, Edie, at this point, we haven't seen too many demonstrators marching through downtown. We have seen quite a bit of a law enforcement presence. We've been flying over Cesar Chavez Plaza and some of the downtown areas, particularly the jail. We've been able to find some law enforcement staging outside of the jail. We've seen law enforcement staging outside of the Sacramento County DA's office. All of this as demonstrators are expected to march through downtown Sacramento tonight. Now, we have been hearing from our crews on the ground who are estimating about 50 to 60 protesters. When we were watching from the air, it is incredibly difficult to see some of those protesters, a lot of them standing under the trees in Cesar Chavez Plaza, wearing all black, so that it has been a challenge for us to see some of the protesters. You're taking a look at Cesar Chavez Plaza right now. Again, it's tough for us to see some of those protesters, but if you take a look towards City Hall, we can get kind of a better view of some of the police officers that are out here. That's something that they've been doing over the last couple of nights. You can see them on 9th and I Street, two motorcycle officers blocking traffic in the middle of the road right now, preparing for demonstrators as they are anticipated to march through downtown. Edie? I can hardly hear them. I can't hear IFB, and it's tough to hear programming too.
Hear anything? We're gonna have to bump it up because it's always low.
Okay.
That's IFB. That's F2. That should be IFB pulse. So do you hear anything? Actually, it should just be a buzz right now.
I can hear a little bit of a buzz.
Okay. We're on the same button as well. That's all the way up.
I can hear a better buzz.
Okay. So try FM3 and FM2. These two ones right here.
Yep.
Those are your IFPs.
Okay.
So you can run them simultaneously. Sometimes you're gonna get a pop whenever you talk. So
Okay.
I'll
Got it. Thank you.
if you need more to hear them talking to you on the two-way, it's this one here.
Okay.
It's a little dark, so it's 1, 2, 3,
4. Got
4.
it.
4 over is to talk to you. So
Gotcha. 10-4. Thank you.
just have them soon.
How about 7th and J?
Okay.
turn down the repeater. So I...
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Better?
Yeah. Ah, thank you.
3 and 5.
3 and 5, got it. Negative. Eastbound on J is the last update I have. I think it's 2. That's J, where the cars are driving. Ninth and L. Facebook, this is Emily Maha with KCRA. I am up in Live Copter 3 tonight. Right now we are flying over the Capitol in the area of 9th and L Streets. We know that protesters who first gathered at Cesar Chavez Plaza are marching through downtown. We haven't been able to see them from Chopper just yet. We are looking for them. We have been able to see quite a bit of a law enforcement presence out here tonight. A lot of officers blocking intersections around the downtown area. You can see you're taking a look at one right now. We're hearing that protesters are on L Street heading west. That's a look at City Hall. We're going to try to get a look at where these protesters are marching through downtown. Heading west on L. All right. It looks like we have spotted a number of police officers on bicycles. Looks like they are moving fairly quickly. This is the area of 9th and L Street, not far from the Capitol. Trying to get a good look at where they're heading. So those police that you can see right there, that is the off-ramp of I-5 at the J Street exit. North on 8th from L. We're hearing that protesters may be heading north on 8th Street from L Street. All right, looks like we have found a group of protesters here. You can see them with the umbrellas. That's a tactic that we know that they use to shield their identities. You can also see they've got, it appears to have some white flashing lights. That's another tactic that they use to make it difficult to see, for anyone to see them. This group looks to be a bit smaller than what we've seen over the last couple of nights. Looking at a little over 100 people protesting with this group tonight. This is the third night they've been out in downtown. You can see some, it looks like some are on bicycles, maybe skateboards out here. And it looks like they are doing another tactic that we've seen them do, is where they work very hard to stay together. So they'll walk for a little bit, stop, wait for people to catch up. And this is a parking garage, not sure what's happening here. Maybe some tagging, some spray painting, and you can see them, almost that entire group, 5 or 6 of them holding those umbrellas. All but one of them were black, looked like one was lime green. And if you can see to the right, to the top of your screen, that flashing light, that's that tactic I was mentioning to you earlier. It makes it difficult for anyone looking at this group of protesters to see anything. You can tell from the view from Live Copter 3, it's tough to see this group. They're wearing all black. Our eyes on the ground, our photographers and reporter Stephanie Lynn on the ground have told us that they are in riot gear. They're wearing helmets. They're wearing all black. And it looks like some of them are kind of standing near sides of buildings, possibly spray painting. It looks like they're tagging some boarded up windows. There are boards all over that window. It looks like they are spray painting them with graffiti right now. It also looks like on that diagonal line, a line of police officers blocking those protesters. You can see him going from corner to corner across the intersection. So it looks almost to a certain degree that law enforcement is controlling the direction that this group is traveling tonight. And you can see a number of people out here right now on bicycles. Those are police officers on bicycles, and it looks like they are creating a line with their bicycles. And again, here's a look at those protesters. We're going to see a little bit of a building here as we move around downtown. It looks like they are tagging a building on J Street right now. They are approaching 9th Street. They're on J Street now, coming to the intersection of 9th and J. You can see the group of them marching right now. Looks like someone is carrying an American flag. The majority of the people here wearing black. Someone in front has a megaphone. Quite a few of them are carrying umbrellas, walking along the perimeter, the edge of the group, and that's in an effort to. They tell us when I was out there Thursday night, I asked one of the people carrying these umbrellas. I said, "Why are you doing this? What is the purpose?" And they said it's to conceal our identities. And you can see this group keeping very close together as well. Looks like they're coming right back into the area of Cesar Chavez Plaza. This is I Street and 9th. They're stopped on I Street just now. On the east side of the plaza. They are moving slowly right now. We can see them still marching on I Street, heading toward City Hall. A little bit of a correction. It looks like this group is on J Street, approaching 10th. I apologize for that. Yep. Hey, Audrey, can you just talk really loud when you come into IFB with me? You can see police have blocked them off in the intersection of 10th and J. We know that people wearing the lime green baseball caps, those are legal observers. They've been out here with this group. Hey, Audrey, I'm just hearing the repeater. can't hear her, but I can hear programming.
Is it still doing the repeater?
No.
Can you hear her?
No. No. I can hear programming.
Yeah, that should be your mic. Excuse me,
Stand by.
She can hear the anchor, she just can't hear you on the two
Well, Edie, one of the things I want to talk about right now that we've been able to see while we've been up in the air is the way police have been strategically positioning themselves throughout downtown. That appears to be a tactic that they're using tonight to kind of control where these protesters are traveling. What we've noticed is that you can see some of them here blocking the intersection. You can see them, that those officers have their shields on, riot gear on, and it's interesting what they will do in some situations is that they will stand from one corner of the intersection diagonally across to the other in an effort to block as much traffic as possible. So that is I Street and City Hall to your right there. It looks like you've got one of those formations of officers blocking traffic. If you were to continue heading through that line of traffic, you would come up on the jail, and we have seen a number of law enforcement officers situated outside of the jail over the last couple of nights. They are out here again tonight. I Street is barricaded off, and you're taking a look kind of at the focal point of where this has all started. This group meets here at Cesar Chavez to your left, City Hall, those glowing gold lights to your right, and this is the area that we have been seeing this group of protesters start their march from over the last 3 nights. Now, we have noticed quite a bit of law enforcement presence over throughout the evening as these protesters have made their way downtown. One of the things I do want to point out to you, it is incredibly difficult to keep our eyes on them from the air. You can see a group of them walking right now. One of the things that they have done over the course of this evening is they tend to stand underneath the trees, making it nearly impossible for us to locate them. You can see that's kind of what's happening here. We can see a few kind of on the outside of those trees, but once they get under the trees, it blocks our vantage point of them. In addition to that, a lot of the people who are out here tonight are dressed in all black. It's dark out. It is another challenge, making it tough for us to see from the air. But again, you're taking a look at Cesar Chavez Plaza. We've seen a much larger police presence over the last 2 nights compared to the first night that these protesters were marching through downtown. Again, you can see police right here standing in formation. No protesters that we can see at this point, but again, this is one of those formations where these officers will stand from corner to corner of the intersection in an effort to block these protesters from getting through. Edie, Walter, I'll send it back to you. You know, we have seen quite a few. This is, looks like this is I Street just on the other side. You can see another formation of officers here right now staging across the road. I believe these may be officers on bicycles. We may be seeing them. I'm corrected. Those are just officers standing out there. But we have seen a number of officers on police bicycles who have used their bicycles also as a way to form blockades on the street. Another area that we noticed was on I-5, the off-ramp at J Street, a little bit away from downtown, but it looks like that was one of the areas where police were taking some proactive work this evening in an effort to limit the number of people heading into downtown. You can see it looks like those officers on the off-ramp to J Street. That would take you right into downtown if you were to get off I-5 in that direction. And those officers have been out here since we were able to get up in the air. So you can see across the city, including on the interstate, a number of streets blocked off as officers wait to see how the rest of the night will unfold. Edie, Walter? Actually, we noticed that a little while ago, and it was interesting because a lot of those parking garages are well lit, so we were able to see a number of these protesters going from the dark streets, walking into the well lit parking garages before we lost sight of them, and many of them also holding umbrellas in addition to going into the parking garages. And again, that's a tactic we've seen over the last 3 nights in an effort to conceal their identities. We did notice that a number of these protesters were carrying those umbrellas, and while they were tagging or spray painting some boarded up windows downtown. Edie? Sure. So, Walter, right now you're taking a look at City Hall. That breezeway is where we have seen quite a bit of law enforcement presence over the last couple of nights. It does not look that we're seeing quite as big of a presence this evening, but you can see a handful, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 officers in riot gear at one entrance to the breezeway. A handful of other officers at the other entrance to the breezeway. But just the other night, we were seeing armored police vehicles parked in between these columns in the front of City Hall. When we were flying over the Sacramento County District Attorney's Office a little earlier tonight, we were able to see a law enforcement presence, several officers standing on the front lawn of the building. We know that was a building that protesters had vandalized over the last several nights. So you can see those law enforcement officers right now, a handful of them standing just outside the building at the sign, and we saw the DA's office vandalized. I know on Thursday night we were out here. Someone attempted to set a fire inside the lobby of the DA's office. We know some of the windows were vandalized. They used bats to smash out and break the glass on the windows. The building was spray painted, a number of different phrases and messages spray painted onto the DA's office, and it looks like, it's tough for me to see, so I have to apologize, but it looks like there may be some fencing that has been set up outside of the DA's office. Law enforcement on the opposite side of the fencing, so if anyone on the sidewalk were to come up to him, that fence would be in between any kind of protester and any kind of law enforcement officer. So at some of the areas, we were flying over the Sacramento County Jail. That is another area where we have consistently seen a law enforcement presence over the last 3 nights. We know I Street is blocked off. If you were to head from Cesar Chavez down I Street to the Sacramento County Jail, I Street is barricaded and blocked off. They've got yellow police tape up there as well, and a number of officers. When we were flying over there earlier tonight, quite a few officers. I counted 15 in just the small section that I could see, but about 15 law enforcement officers out there earlier tonight. We know this is an area that they have blocked off the street and a staging area because we saw protesters heading toward the jail several nights ago. Walter Eady? Sure, I would say for me the biggest difference initially is the size of this group. On the first night when we got out there, this group was very large. By 8:30 at night, it was very large, it was very loud, and there was an aggressive atmosphere when we were out there that initial night. There were a couple of protesters who had umbrellas. But what we experienced out there was just a handful of people with umbrellas, just a handful of people with flashing lights. They flash those lights into your eyes in an effort to keep you from seeing anything. What I'm seeing from Live Copter 3 tonight is that this group, while much smaller, many of them have umbrellas, and they have many more of those flashing lights that they've been using out here tonight. Reporting live from Live Copter 3, Emily Maha, KCRA 3 News. East on J from 10th Street. 10-4. Well, Edie, it's tough to tell if this is a group of protesters or if this is a group of police officers. You can see those bicycles with the red and blue flashing lights, and I would believe that those are some of the police that we have seen on bicycles. We know that this group of protesters is marching, but again, it is incredibly difficult for us to see them at some points as they've been walking very close to the trees wearing all black. You know, I think there may be some protesters out here. This person that we can see in the light appears to have a lime green hat on. We know in most cases those are legal observers that are out there with the protesters. So if we're seeing those people out here now, I would imagine that the protesters are in this area where we are seeing a police presence right now. It is tough to figure out exactly who's who, but you can see there is one police light that is shining on some of the people that are walking around. You can see whenever someone comes up to them, right now, right in this moment, it looks like someone on a bicycle, and police are shining their lights on that person. Edie, I'll send it back to you. Sure, I think one of the biggest things to point out is the difference between the groups that are protesting. There are some groups that have come out and peacefully demonstrated. Those groups are local groups. They tend to be a lot of our community groups, our community leaders from the black community who have come out in the early part of the day. They have gathered in Cesar Chavez Park. They have shared their messages with the community, and then they have ended their events peacefully. Other groups, like some of the groups that we're seeing right now, this group that we're seeing here in the streets, they come and they gather after it is dark. They put out messages on social media saying to wear all black, to wear no logos, to not snitch, to not tell on anyone, and that their message on their social media pages will say that there are no good cops. So I think one of the most important things to point out is that there are a number of different groups and demonstrators and protesters that have been gathering in downtown Sacramento, like we saw at the end of May and the beginning of June, and again now here in August. Walter, Edie? Northeast corner of Cesar Chavez Plaza, people are getting arrested. Gotcha. Let's try to stay on this and see if they'll take it.